The Haunting Legacy of Eastern Airlines Flight 401. The Night of Tragedy. On the evening of December 29, 1972, Eastern Airlines Flight 401, a brand new L-1011 TriStar jetliner, prepared for what should have been a routine flight from New York's JFK Airport to Miami. The Lockheed TriStar was a marvel of engineering, boasting cutting-edge technology and advanced safety features. It was a symbol of modern aviation, promising passengers a smooth and secure journey. Aboard the aircraft were 176 people, including Captain Robert Loft, a seasoned pilot with over 30 years of experience, First Officer Albert Stockstill, and Second Officer Don Repo, a flight engineer with a reputation for meticulous attention to detail. The mood in the cabin was relaxed as passengers looked forward to their Miami destination, some heading home after the holidays, others seeking the warmth of Florida's winter. The flight proceeded smoothly until the final approach to Miami International Airport. Then, a seemingly minor issue would cascade into one of the most infamous tragedies in aviation history. The moment of disaster. As the crew prepared for landing, Captain Loft noticed that the green indicator light for the nose landing gear had failed to illuminate. Concerned that the landing gear might not have deployed properly, the crew decided to abort their descent and enter a holding pattern over the Everglades while troubleshooting the issue. The cockpit became a flurry of activity. Loft instructed Stockstill and Repo to investigate the problem. The light bulb itself was suspected to be faulty, but the crew couldn't be certain. In the process, they disengaged the autopilot, a move that would prove disastrous. Unbeknownst to the preoccupied crew, the aircraft was gradually descending. The darkness of the Everglades and the absence of visible ground lights made it impossible to detect the descent visually. Focused entirely on the faulty light, the pilots failed to notice the warnings. At 11:42 p.m., the aircraft crashed into the swampy terrain of the Florida Everglades. The impact tore the plane apart, sending passengers and debris into the cold, muddy waters. The crash killed 101 of the 176 on board, including Captain Loft and First Officer Stockstill. Miraculously, 75 people survived, rescued by first responders who braved the treacherous swamp to reach the victims. Survivors described the horror of the crash, the screams, the darkness, and the eerie silence that followed as the wreckage settled into the marsh. Investigation and aftermath. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, launched an immediate investigation. It concluded that the crash was caused by pilot error. The crew's fixation on the landing gear light had led them to ignore the autopilot disengagement. This phenomenon, now known as task fixation, became a pivotal lesson in aviation safety. The crash also highlighted the importance of cockpit resource management, CRM, ensuring that crew members maintain effective communication and situational awareness. These findings influenced global aviation practices, making the skies safer for future generations. But even as the investigation closed, a new chapter in the story of Flight 401 began, a chapter shrouded in mystery and the supernatural. The ghostly tales of Flight 411. In the months following the crash, strange stories began to circulate among Eastern Airlines employees and passengers. Flight attendants, pilots, and engineers reported eerie encounters aboard other L-1011 aircraft. These planes had one thing in common: they contained salvage parts from Flight 401, reused to save costs. Apparitions of Captain Loft and Don Repo, crew members on various flights, claimed to see ghostly figures resembling Loft and Repo. These apparitions often appeared in cockpits, first-class cabins, or even galleys. Some describe detailed interactions with the spirits, who seemed to be trying to convey warnings. Supernatural warnings. On one flight, a mechanic reported seeing Don Repo's face in an oven door in the galley. Repo's ghost allegedly warned him of a potential fire hazard, which was later found to be a real risk. The most unsettling accounts involved passengers who described conversations with uniformed crew members who disappeared moments later. When shown photographs of Flight 441's deceased crew, these passengers identified Loft or Repo as the person they had seen. Recycled parts and removal. The eerie sightings were widely believed to be linked to the salvaged parts from Flight 411. These components had been installed in other L-1011 aircraft, some of which reported inexplicable mechanical issues or ghostly encounters. After repeated complaints from crew members and the growing fear among staff, Eastern Airlines discreetly removed the salvaged parts from all planes. Although Eastern Airlines officially denied the supernatural claims, the stories persisted. They became so widespread that the company instructed employees not to discuss them publicly. Despite these efforts, the tale of Flight 401's hauntings spread, cementing its place in aviation folklore. Cultural legacy. The haunting of Flight 401 inspired books, documentaries, and even a television movie. The Ghost of Flight 401, based on a book by John G. Fuller, brought the story to a wider audience, blending fact with legend. The crash also became a case study of how aviation tragedies can leave lasting psychological and cultural imprints, similar lingering malaise upon their personalities. Lessons learned. Beyond the ghost stories, the crash of Eastern Airlines Flight 401 led to critical changes in aviation. Modern cockpits emphasize CRM, ensuring that all crew members share responsibilities and maintain awareness of the aircraft's status. Pilots are now trained to avoid task fixation, a direct response to the events of that fateful night. For many, Flight 411 is a cautionary tale of human error and technological vulnerability. For others, it is a story of enduring spirits who continue to protect those in the skies. Even today, the legend of Flight 441 serves as a reminder that the line between the natural and supernatural may blur when tragedy strikes.